Hey everybody, friends of Social Pediatrics. I'm Sarah Gander in St. John, New Brunswick, coming to you from a very foggy St. John, New Brunswick. I'm kicking off our cross-country checkup, which is our chance to shine a light on the work of pediatricians and our teams of many different sectors across the country working together for kids and youth in Canada. So, kicking it off, behind me is going to be the home of our new Social Pediatrics Clinic, our newly minted nonprofit here in New Brunswick. We have over 100 patients, our social worker in place, our team, our board of directors, and our research program is still alive and well. So we're very happy, working hard and trying to make our way through the pandemic in St. John. And somewhere in the fog there is the site of our new clinic, which I'll be proud to show you next year. So I'll carry on to the next people across the country for our cross-country checkup.
Welcome from UBC and BC Children's Hospital. I'm Chris Locke, and I'm honored to introduce members of our Social Pediatrics team. First, we would like to acknowledge that we live, work, and play on the ancestral, unceded, and traditional territories of the Coast Salish people, including the Musqueam, Tsleil-Waututh, and Squamish First Nations. I am honored today to have a few of my proteges who will tell you about activities that are happening here in British Columbia. And we're going to start first with Dr. Tatiana Satinjo. She's one of our two Hudson Scholars for 2020 through 2022 on equity, diversity, and inclusion with an important announcement. Tatiana.
Thank you so much, Dr. Locke. It's an absolute pleasure to meet with all of you, and I want to extend a warm invitation on behalf of myself, as well as Arabina Simpson, to join us for the President's Lecture on discussing institutional and individual pathways to anti-racism in pediatric care. Thanks again, Dr. Locke.
Thank you, Tatiana.
Hi folks, Matt Garwana here from Vancouver, British Columbia to represent our Vancouver Social Pediatrics team, mostly housed within the Richer program. It's been quite the year with many challenges and many forms of heartbreak, but we've been doing our best to stand in solidarity with the communities that we serve throughout these kind of trying and difficult times. A brief update, we continue to try to stick to our mandate, our Richer model. In response or being responsive to the pandemic, we've been working by pivoting from our in-person meetings to an online community meeting and identifying with the community priority areas for action, which has been really our framework for supporting our community partners through the pandemic. We continue to be intersectoral, working with partnerships from community organizations such as think tanks and community centers, as well as a variety of different community provision sites in providing our care. We've maintained our focus on child and community health, providing our clinical work throughout the pandemic. We really didn't take a break, which I think was hard for our team, but I think helped to strengthen our bonds with the community. From an education standpoint, we continue to work on both education at the community level and to our trainees, sharing the importance of a social pediatric, trauma-informed model for all pediatric care providers. And finally, if there's been one real positive, I think, of the pandemic for our program, it's been our opportunity to focus on some of our research programs. And there's been many new exciting grants, such as one grant allowing us to form a more formalized research table with our community, as well as a grant that's allowed us to hire a research coordinator to support us in some of our endeavors. So certainly a year that's been heavy with reflection, but also a lot of new opportunities for action. So all the best from your West Coast colleagues.
Emily?
Hi, I'm having a lot of background noise, but I'm Dr. Emily Fisher. I'm recently left my residency, finished my residency in general pediatrics at Sick Kids and came and joined the team in BC to do my fellowship in developmental pediatrics. And just a brief update is that the three of us, so Dr. Caruana, Dr. Locke, and myself, have participated in extending the boundaries of our care and helping to educate some of the individuals in the legal sector about trauma-informed care in order to kind of bridge gaps between different sectors.
Thank you, Emily. And it's Chris Locke here in the Raycam gym, the very gym where Shazeen Sulman held her Music Box children's charity preschool recitals when she was a med student here many years ago, and a warm place that many of you visited for one of our first social pediatric summits. And as just to conclude our cross-country checkup from British Columbia, Katrina Stockley and I welcome you all to this virtual CPS meeting that was to have happened in Vancouver. Katrina is with myself on the executive. It's been a busy year with our commentary as well as our practice points. And we look forward to meeting in person and hearing from all of you at the summit. So hands up to all of you and special thanks for the work that we share and the visions that we and commitment that we share together.
Warm greetings to you all from Ottawa. As Director of the Social Pediatric Program at CHEO, Children's Hospital of Eastern Ontario, I'd like to give you a brief update on the development of social pediatrics from a clinical, education, research, and advocacy perspective. In the clinical arena, Dr. Lee Fraser-Roberts and myself are co-medical directors of the Vanier Social Pediatric Hub, modeled on Gilles Julien's centers in Quebec. We opened our doors in 2017 as the first social pediatric center in Ontario, and we are thriving at this time with essentially COVID funding, but this ends, unfortunately, in December. So we have our regular clinics at present by Zoom, and we have a pediatric resident community clinic, and our medical students conduct home visits to most all of our families on a regular basis, respecting public health guidelines for check-ins for their health and social needs with fresh and frozen food delivery. I'm going to let three of our stellar pediatric residents describe their work. But beforehand, I would just like to make a few comments. And I'd like to say that the pandemic has been challenging for all of us, and for some more than others, and it's exposed an underbelly of already existing social and health inequities and discrimination, and that's globally. On a positive note, I do feel that this has been a time for personal, societal, and global reflection. And I hope that through our work in social pediatrics, we can lead these conversations and indeed provide remedies. So I'm going to hand over now to Gunjan, Amina, and Heather. Thank you, and merci.
There's lots of great social pediatrics initiatives happening at CHEO. Given the disproportionate impact of COVID-19 on racialized communities across Canada, we are working on a multidisciplinary group to develop a photo voice project that captures the experiences of racialized communities across Ottawa. This year, CHEO also piloted an anti-racism academic half-day where diverse youth led workshops about systemic racism and patient experiences in medicine. I'm also on the Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Committee at CHEO, and we are working on implementing an EDI lens to every aspect of recruitment, curriculum, and physical space at CHEO.
So lots of initiatives at CHEO. I've been personally involved in three. The first one is setting up a social peds elective, which also involves spending time in Gatineau and Montreal with Dr. Gilles Julien to learn from his model. The second initiative is establishing successfully a continuing clinic in social pediatrics this year, which we're looking to expand. And the third initiative is working on a biannual advocacy day, which works with community partners to highlight different social determinants of health.
Hi, so like Amina, I'm also involved in some social peds initiatives at CHIO. We just completed a research study that found that prescribing museum passes to high needs families promoted excitement around learning and fostered connections with nature. So we would like to advocate for free museum passes for all high needs families in Ottawa. I'm also one of the co-chairs of our advocacy committee and helped to lead the complex care station of our recent Amazing Race Advocacy Day. And then I'm one of the co-leads of our class clinic, which caters to low income and high needs families in downtown Ottawa.
Hi all, my name is Anna Guns. I'm a pediatrician in London, and my interest with social pediatrics is I am interested in environmental health and climate change. I did a degree back a few decades ago, and since then we've just seen the climate crisis escalate. And we've heard youth voices call for action, and we need to join them. This affects children's health now. It spans all age group from fetus to adolescent, and it also affects almost every organ system. This is a social justice issue. Not everyone is affected equally, and those children that are most affected are children who live in poverty, who either can't escape the scenario or have increased exposure to climate events, children in racialized communities, and certainly the diversity of Indigenous communities across the country, especially in the High North. We need to join them as advocates for the healthcare system to mitigate change, to adapt so we can respond. But definitely I think this is our time and our chance to join together to call for change, which involves political action, involves strict legislation. There are other large organizations like the Canadian Medical Association, the Canadian Public Health Organization, the Canadian Association of Physicians for the Environment, who are lobbying the government actively and for us to advocate for children and advocate for the child's voice. It would be very powerful as the Canadian Pediatric Society. I'm involved in lots of things like this. I would love to meet many people who are interested in joining us. Also, I'm starting an environmental health clinic here, so Children's Environmental Health Clinic in Edmonton. We're going to start one. Children's Environmental Health Clinic, Czech, Ontario. And climate change is obviously going to be one of our issues that we're going to respond to in clinical research and advocacy. So lovely to meet with you all, lovely to be part of the group. It's nice to have a new home.